All right. This morning we talk about water, the World Water Forum. Now I want to be more specific. The reason why I choose to talk about water security for food security is something I've been working on over the last 20 years with the International Water Management Institute. And as I said last week, there was a big meeting in Dakar with some head of states and governments, some directors of international financial institutions like the World Bank and so, talking about food security in general in Africa. So it just came to my mind that maybe we need to talk about that and relate that to water. Now, this is just the outline quickly: situation analysis and key challenges, water scarcity and competition, water for food, sub-Saharan Africa, the situation, and the meeting the food security challenges, options and responses, and just a few points of discussion that you can take with you and try to write maybe some papers on those issues. Water scarcity and competition. Right? The reason why this is important, let's look. There are different facts and myths when it comes down to water. First of all, you have read somewhere we are heading for water wars, or you have heard it from radio or TV or whatever. Everybody talks about this. Alto infrastructure. So some people, especially the environmentalists, they don't want dams to be built. They oppose a lot of things when it comes down to big infrastructure. Others, they say, just say, I mean, these are the economists in general. There is no water crisis. You have heard about that. There is enough food. And all what we need is the bad trade agreements. How many trade agreements you have heard over the last 2 decades? Does it work? I don't think so. Now, others will say irrigation uses too much water. So maybe we don't need it. We need water for people. So people will have enough water to drink. The problem is that water is free. Some people were saying, let's price it. Let's give it a value. Okay? Let me tell you, most of these are true or false. Mainly false. Most of these statements. And I will see why. Let's talk about water scarcity. This morning I talked about water scarcity around 2050 for the whole continent. But what does it mean? Water scarcity has 3 definitions, in fact, but we just limit ourselves to 2. You have water scarcity, the physical scarcity is where the resource is not there. You want it, you have all the means, but the resources is not there, or whatever is there is not enough. That's California. That in Africa, if we look at Africa, is the northern part of Africa, is the southern part of Africa. The resources are depleted. Now, there is economic scarcity, meaning there is water, but you don't have funds. You don't have the money really to bring it out and use it. Mainly if it is in the ground, or you need desalinization or some other techniques also too, or reuse of wastewater and so on, but you don't have the fund. Most of sub-Saharan Africa fall into this category. The third category is what we call agronomic water scarcity, but that's something completely different. So I didn't mention it in here. Now, let's see, water for food. These are some facts, water facts we call it, for you to know exactly when we talk about water, how much water really a human being needs per day for drinking. It's between 2 and 5 liters. A daily household use of water, 20 to 50, 500 liters of water. A kilogram of grain, meaning rice, for instance, we need 3,000 liters, meaning cubic meters. But if it is millet or sorghum, we need less than that. You see what I mean? Now, that water is to compensate the evapotranspiration. What we are looking at is evapotranspiration, is what we call green water. Because as you may know, now we are talking about colors. We are no longer using these very sophisticated names. You have heard about blue water. You have heard about green water. You have heard about gray water. Green water is the water that contributes to the grain, to the agricultural product. That's evapotranspiration, meaning transpiration of the plant and evaporation from the soil. The two combined, that part of the green water, okay? And water into the soil, into the capillarity zone of the soil, because the plant cannot use running water. No plant can use running water. Running water is what we call blue water in general. It's water under gravity. Okay? That's blue water. That's the rainfall. That's the rivers. That's the lakes, and so on and so on. Those are what we call blue water. The green water is the water that contributes to agricultural production. That's what we call green water. The gray water is the domestic, what? Let's say it this way. We consume water out of the 1 liter consumption of water. We reject one way or another about 800 milliliters of that water. Okay, the water we use in the house, okay, most of it is rejected. That water is because you need water for cleaning, you need water for bathing, you need water for cleaning your clothes or whatever you do in the house. That water is rejected into nature in one way or another. That's what we call gray water. There is another classification also. There is one other color that people don't use very often. It's called black water. It's the water that is completely polluted. No way you can use it, but people don't spend time on that one. Now, some progress has been made on water for food. As you know, average per capita daily food supply has gradually increased. We are better fed today in terms of calories than our parents in general. Okay? Global food production outpaced population growth. That's the reason why some people are saying we have enough food. So you guys don't spend too much of your water into it. Come and buy it from us. That's where a new idea is coming now. Now it's not that new. It's coming back since this Russia-Ukraine war. It's food sovereignty. Nobody was talking about that. Everybody was talking about self-sufficiency, food security. FAO came with a definition of food security. What is food security? You know, you guys, we all in this room, we have food security, but we don't crop. We don't crop. Because we have the resources to go to the shop and buy food, so you reach your food security. But the farmer cannot do it. Either he harvests or he may be starving. Or he received some remittance from somewhere that can help him reach the food security. Food sovereignty is, let me choose, this is what I need for my life or for my family. I will do my best to produce it. So I become independent in one way, in quotation. That's food sovereignty. That's the new term. Yields have increased substantially because of agricultural research. Irrigation has helped raise production from 1.4 ton per hectare of rice, of paddy in some of those smallholder farming. Now you can talk about 5 tons per hectare. That's because irrigation has played a key role. However, irrigation has a mixed record. In some places, a lot of production has been obtained. At the same time, the soil has been destroyed. Because most of the farmers come to irrigation without even knowing what is irrigation. Irrigation is an art. It's a science. People need to be taught on how to best to do it, to practice it. That's something in our countries we don't do. We think just it's natural. You bring water. If I bring more water than the soil can hold, whatever fertilizer is there is lost. I go and buy nitrogen fertilizers, for instance, very expensive. Up to now, we were buying it from Ukraine or from Russia. That's the biggest producers. Now we don't have it. If you have little, you bring it in your field to increase your crop production. And then you add in more water than you need, you have leaching through the soil. The plant won't benefit from it. So I'm saying it's an art, it's a culture. When I discuss with farmers in Senegal, I used to tell them, you see, the issue is, should I give for somebody who just passed his driving license and got it yesterday, if I have to buy him a car, should I buy him a very simple car or a Lamborghini? I won't give him a Porsche. You see? So if I design an irrigation system, I must know who will be using it and bring it at the levels that he can use it better. These are the kind of things we don't do in our countries. We standardize everything. And then, of course, it doesn't work. If you bring more water, what happens? You have secondary salinization of the soil. Most of these Central Asian countries, during the Soviet Union era, they were producers of cotton. They were using a lot of irrigation, a lot of fertilizers. Now nothing is growing there. So should we do the same thing? The answer, I guess, should be no. Okay, there's some unfinished business in this water for food. Because, as I said, over the literature, they said there are almost 850 million of malnourished people, especially when it comes down to food security. Keep in mind, when you talk, youth journalists, when you talk to somebody at the Ministry of Agriculture, if he talks only about food security, you must ask the question, does it mean the volume, the quantity of food, or I'm speaking French, or the quality? Quantity should go with quality. Okay, so when we say food security, we think food security and nutrition. You have to be very careful, because when I read newspapers, I don't see that second word, nutrition, and it has to go along with food security. Okay, now we also know that 65% of Africans live in rural areas and they depend fully on agriculture. How can we increase it? We need to maintain or increase resilience of food providing ecosystem. We should not abuse the system. The system has a potential. We should never reach the potential. We should leave a threshold. It's just like you're doing statistics. Why should you go to 2 standard deviations? Limit yourself to 1 standard deviation so you have more security. This is the way it has to be thought when you design policies. When you ask questions, ask those questions. What is the potential and where are you? Where you locate yourself within that range. Okay? Now, sub-Saharan Africa, the challenges, as I said, poverty, population growth, fast population growth. We have very low agricultural productivity, and the agricultural productivity is mainly due to the fact that most of our agriculture is rain-fed. When we have dry spells, we may lose most of the production. Because there is another graph that shows you, for example, for Kenya, how really production is related to rainfall, because most of the agriculture is rain-fed. Now, in Africa in general, we have less than 10% of agricultural land being irrigated. So we have a huge potential that we can irrigate. The reason is we don't do it because it costs a lot of money. That's what we've been told. When I was with ILMI, this is just to give you an idea about what is the per capita storage. This is one indicator. Per capita storage, you don't see it in the literature in general. You go per capita of this, of that, but per capita storage is, did the country spend money on building reservoirs or stocking water? And you relate that to, this is a good indicator. Africa doesn't even show. We have Kenya almost inexistent. Okay, but look at North America, for instance. Because you invest in mobilizing resources. This, I will go fast. Also, hydropower, per capita hydropower, we are not there. We are lacking behind in many of these things because of economic scarcity. Keep that in mind. Okay? Now, we also have other problems, development imperatives. Either we are lacking rural development issues, urban and industrial growth, everybody move towards the city. Okay? Then, or we keep fighting among ourselves. I don't like you, you don't like me. We are, rather than finding halfway to solve our problem, we keep fighting. We invest money in buying whatever, tanks, rather than putting it into development. And some places you have some irrigation, but that irrigation is mainly done with foreigners investing in our countries. Okay, what are the options and responses for meeting the food security challenges? Very quick, I'll go through. Develop more water by increasing storage, because I said we are lacking storage facilities, dams, reservoirs, ponds, and so on. Wherever the topography allows us in a farm land, we should be able to have a pond, at least for supplementary irrigation. When we have a spell of 5 days, dry spell of 5 days, the farmer can tap water from that pond and save his production. These are the kind of things, deplete more, because what we do in general, we go and just use deep wells. We pump a lot of water, and the water need to be recharged. The groundwater need to be recharged. Where the recharge comes from? It comes from the rain. If it doesn't rain, because we have climate variability, some will call it climate change. By me, I stop in climate variability issue, okay? Because I compare from one year to another. So I'm talking about climate variability rather than climate change. Because when you talk about climate change, you're projecting yourself beyond 30 years to be able to say that there is a climate change when it comes down to rainfall. We all agree. Temperature, we all know. Rainfall, we less know. We do know something, but temperature, everybody can say, when I was a child, it was cooler in December in Senegal than nowadays. Okay? Now, we should invest in rain-fed agriculture because, as I told you, only 10% of the agricultural land is irrigated. So basically what we need then is we invest where most of the people are. If we cannot invest in irrigation, and though even if we invest in irrigation expansion, we won't have enough land irrigated to share with the whole population. Now then we need to have priorities, and it is important to do that. We manage demand. We need to look at our diet. We need to reduce post-harvest losses. We need to increase water productivity. Water productivity means how much water, how can I increase my production to a drop of water, from each drop of water. That's why the late Kofi Annan was saying in 1996, more crop per drop. Okay? Then 10 years later, people realize that something is missing. When you say more crop per drop, you're thinking about using all the water available for crop production. No? How about environment? The environment has also to live. So they came with this new idea beyond the more crop per drop. That's now the philosophy. Now, we need to increase and look at a range of agricultural water management options, from purely rain-fed to fully irrigated. There are check and balances in between, where you know that you may need supplementary irrigation, then you can build some dams and reservoirs and so on. You can also reuse water. You can use wastewater. You can improve in your drainage system. Okay, the key action to update rain-fed system, because I will give you the presentation, so you can go through. We need to work on technology, capacity building, and policies. How many countries have a clear water policy, a clear irrigation policy, a clear agriculture policy, a clear environmental policy? But the question is, they may have it, but they are not linked. And they should have been linked. The guys at the Ministry of Agriculture will think about an agricultural policy. The guy at the environment will do the same thing. The water department will do the same thing, but they don't talk to each other. But they use the same product, which is a finite product. Water is finite. That is a finite element. In mathematics, it means you have a limited amount and you cannot increase it. What you have is what is there. You have boundaries. You cannot fabricate, manufacture water. You can't. Because the energy you need to do that, you won't find it. You cannot, science doesn't allow you today to have enough energy to split the various molecules and bind them later to produce water. Only the Big Bang was able to do that. That's why we have water. So we need to take care of that resource. And we need to think that there is one God to do it, not us. Okay? We need to think about low cost, small scale technologies. People are working very hard on these issues also too. We need in-field application and of management, water management, which is the IWRM. We need all that to practice. We need micro project on IWRM, because agriculture, water is something, as I said, we need to get benefits from water and not waste water. We waste a lot of water. We need to think about different technologies, not a panacea, but we need to see how can we handle all this in one big solution. Now, look at irrigation in sub-Saharan Africa. 82% of the land is not irrigated. And you have 12%, and most of the irrigated land in Africa is in Southern Africa, in South Africa, or in Northern Africa. In sub-Saharan Africa, very little has happened. And that was done during the colonial era. But we've been told also too, from these very intelligent guys from the World Bank, you're not competitive. Why should you invest in irrigation? If you're not competitive because it costs less in Asia than in Africa. It's not true. It's not true. This diagram shows that irrigation is something that is relevant to Africa, and it doesn't cost more than in Asia. Doesn't cost more. We did it by combining this. I was involved in this work. We did with UMI, the African Development Bank, and other institutions, 237 irrigation schemes around the world, in Asia and in Africa. And we realized the cost is almost the same. Okay? So all these guys who come with a white shirt, a black tie, from Washington and telling you, from Bretton Woods telling you, irrigation is it's just a nonsense. We can't do it. We should do it with our means and resources, because sometimes you need to be proud of yourself, and you can do it. Okay? All right. Now, there are some conclusions. I will let you with the conclusions and some point of discussion on how to improve this thing, because I will leave you with the presentation. Thank you very much.